To say Hazbin Hotel is contentious would be an understatement. Not only has it managed to permeate everyone's algorithms with both seasons thus far, but it's also managed to somehow make the internet even more bloodthirsty than usual, which in the 2020s should be considered an accomplishment. Either you adore the show and all its little quirks, while also managing to memorize all of the lore dropped by Vivzy Pop herself since the pilot, or you loathe it, its art style and character designs, its story choices, and everything it stands for. Nuance has gone to hell, and honestly, I think The Exorcist got her first a few exterminations ago. Naturally, this makes me, a pathological people pleaser who has already lived through this hell with Ruby, very scared to talk about it. I mean, I did make a video about season 1, but seeing how this kind of atmosphere affects even large creators like Sarcastic Chorus causes hesitation, especially because I don't really fall in either extreme. I love the music and most of the characters. I love the art design. Please note my bias towards the color red, but a lot of the writing and story structure choices have given me pause, and at times it feels like with how saturated the content sphere is, it can make you go, what can I even contribute here? Do I even want to contribute? But you know what? I believe it's important to share how you feel in every messy, irrational detail, especially if I still have the soundtrack on loop. Like, surely I must have something to say about this fucking mess. I might as well get paid for my fixation before the next one takes over my life, so, you know. So today we are going to talk about Hazbin Hotel's Season 2. We're not going to go over everything, just, you know, the major points of elements to do with story structure, characters, music, etc. You know, basically anything I feel merits its own section based on how much I feel like yapping about it today. If that sounds interesting to you, then stick around. Grab a snack or, I don't know, keep doing laundry or whatever you do when you put me on in the background. That's right, I know your sins. And just listen as I break down this hellborn cartoon for far too long as the world bursts down around us. But first, obligatory introductions. Ciao, my name's Thomas, aka the Unicorn of War, and I make videos about whatever the hell I damn well please. Usually media I think far too much about, and thusly have to yap about online. I talk about what works for me, what doesn't, and I try to dig into the reasons why that might be. So if that sounds interesting to you, then you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications because, and say it with me, YouTube hates creators.
I'm not homophobic, I just hate
YouTubers.
You can also pledge your support for myself and the channel on Patreon for extras, including early video scripts, early access videos, Patreon exclusive videos, and access to the private Union of War Discord server. Now, without further ado, let the chaos commence.
I remember walking in and
Thomas
coming at me with an open fist.
So, in terms of overall structure, I never really got why we took on Heaven so early. It felt a bit sudden. Like, as a lover of lengthy JRPGs, I'm kind of used to the Heaven analog being either our big bad or penultimate big bad. You know, something that's looming overhead but is still long ways away. Not something we directly challenge in our very first season. However, I do recall someone mentioning to me that it tracks when you view these first two seasons as being centered on the question of redemption, whether it's truly possible and what the implications would be. So then, these first two seasons serve as a proof of concept for the hotel, to prove that sinners can indeed redeem themselves, and getting Heaven to recognize that and help construct a new system between themselves and Hell. Something more beneficial to them both, as opposed to Heaven having enough superiority to get away with the yearly exterminations. Now, I still have issues in the details, namely how it took Charlie so long to realize that it takes understanding how someone wound up in hell in the first place to figure out how to redeem them.
Maybe what he did redeemed his own sin. All we need to do is have Angel act against his sins.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Like, girl, I'm sorry, is that just not obvious? This seems like basic problem-solving skills. I'm just confused how these worlds have existed for this long, and nobody's ever laid out the rules and guidelines for how souls get into heaven, nor has anybody questioned the lack of transparency.
None of you know what gets someone into heaven?
This questioning stops now.
Were we just doing a trial by vibes for the past few thousand years?
Well, yes!
But you know what? They figured it out. Fucking finally. So I'm grateful on that front, at least. Though I also have to admit the lack of interest in the populace of hell is also kind of bothering me. Charlie's motivation is meant to be a desire to protect her people, because she sees the inherent value of life, or I guess of soul in this case.
Those are my people. You know that, right? But these are souls. Human souls, just the same as the ones you have up in heaven. Sinners made mistakes, sure, but everyone makes mistakes. Everybody has those days.
That no matter what these people have done to earn themselves a spot in eternal torment, they deserve a chance to redeem themselves, or at the very least to not be slaughtered and wiped from existence forever. Which, okay, cool, but to me that also requires a bit more work to keep Charlie from seeming either all talk and all about the platitudes or just straight up Delulu. Because a lot of the time, the joke of her being oblivious to the carnage of her realm while she's this cute little Disney princess, singing as she strolls down the streets soaked in blood with corpses strewn about.
Is she? Oh, she's dancing. No.
There's a warm, fuzzy feeling that wafts through the air.
While hilarious and super endearing, doesn't really do her case or her character any favors. This really comes to a head this season, where the conflict revolves around the Vees tarnishing the reputation of Charlie and the hotel in order to stoke a war against heaven.
Can you trust her?
I lied. I'm dirty do-bad.
All Fred Jones had to say was,
I think Coolsville sucks.
Solid concept, I dig it, and a natural progression from last season. But I'm not really sold on the masses of hell suddenly having a change of heart by seeing Vox lose his shit, or even by Pensius redeeming himself.
I live! And I'm a good boy now.
Wow. That was shit.
Their anger towards heaven, even if it's being manipulated and exploited by Vox, is still valid and justified. There seems to be this disinterest in the people of hell as a collective. A lot of times their apathy towards Charlie's ideas, their mean-spirited jabs towards her naivete as she pitches her hotel,
Hi, mister.
Go fuck yourself!
feels like it's more so being used for lazy jokes about how Charlie's in over her head, rather than an earnest expression of the sinner's fatigue toward this broken system. Sure, the seasons are only 8 episodes because animation is expensive and the full-length season is dead and buried, but surely there can still be small ways to lend a bit of sincerity to the people of hell's grievances. Something more than, oh, everyone sucks and is rude and mean and crass and perverted, 'cause it's hell.
I thought this hotel was where we came to kill angels.
yeah, who cares about redemption? That sounds like work.
Like, if we focused a bit on some of the hotel's guests here and there, stories of how they wound up in hell, what their experience has been, and humanizing them and their struggles, I think that would go a long way to making us, as an audience, empathize with Charlie's goals, rather than just rooting for her because she's nice and we want nice things for her. Like, no, I need more than that. Make us earnestly believe in her cause alongside her. Make us see ourselves in these people who ordinarily would be dismissed and demonized outright. Is that a pun because we're in hell? Whatever.
Go fuck yourself!
At the very least, with heaven and hell both acknowledging redemption, I am interested to see how the system changes going forward and where it takes our story. I'm not really sure what the end game of this would look like, but who the hell knows? Or rather, who in hell knows? Maybe someone in heaven knows, Lilith, if that's your real name.
Dear backstabbing bitches.
And sure, redemption is possible, but I think it's important to remember that redemption doesn't passively just happen to you. You have to work for it yourself, and I think that's the line between people like Serpentius and Angel versus the Vees.
Do you think I could be redeemed?
Who are you again?
Like, girl, do you see any of those V fucks sincerely wanting to become better people? No, absolutely the fuck not.
I'm a really terrible person, and I left her in the woods to die.
And expanding off of that last point, yeah, heaven is still getting off the hook way too easy. Y'all have been going down and slaughtering the people of hell yearly, sometimes twice a year, and you think gift baskets are enough?
I present you with a fruit basket. Organic and lightly brushed with salmonella and fecal matter.
Okay, yeah, I love Emily, would die for her, and her line about needing more gift baskets lives rent-free in my diseased head. God, I love her.
We're gonna need more gift baskets.
But like, girl, Y'all angels can fuck all the way off. Cue the all's fair, fuck you fucking fucks, treacherous launch hairs, please. That show is fucking terrible, but oh my god, Sarah Paulson is giving me life.
You fat, treacherous lawn chairs.
Fuck all the way off, douchebags.
Fuck you fucking fucks!
Card.
Lawn chairs?
A lot of this is relying on the fact that only Sarah and the Exorcist angels knew about the exterminations, that the ordinary people of heaven and even the other governing bodies of heaven didn't know.
What was the Seraphim's one rule?
No one but the Exorcist can know about the exterminations. I know, fine.
Which, I see the vision, but the vision is flawed. Deeply flawed. Like, even beyond the fact that I have no idea how the hell the governments of either heaven or hell work. Like, at all. Sarah's guilt is compelling, as are her interactions with Pensius as he consoles her and helps her work through this. They're some of my favorite scenes in the show. One specific line she has pretty much sums up my own complicated feelings towards people that I found it hard to shake as I watched people en masse choose to ruin their own lives just to spite other groups they hate.
How can you even explain humans having enough innate goodness to be redeemed while they take part in actions as vile as this?
However, the show is substituting systemic acknowledgement of atrocities and subsequent reparations with Sarah's individual guilt. First of all, 9 times out of 10 in oppressive, hostile regimes that are committing human rights violations and atrocities, the ordinary people know. Oh, they know. They got a pamphlet about it last week and they were like, great! And the people in positions of authority absolutely no.
You go down there and kill those poor souls.
Whoops. This is something that's often swept under the rug because it is hard for us to reckon with the idea that ordinary people just trying to live their lives can be capable of not only looking the other way as these atrocities happen, but can even cheerlead and partake in them. It is the reality that that kind of evil does exist within us all, and it's really not that hard to awaken it. But that is the reality. And so Hazbin choosing this route feels like a way to justify keeping heaven around and working with them moving forward, when in reality, them fuckers need some serious sanctions. And you know what? Maybe hell needs some goddamn independence. Sure, the people of heaven's ignorance led to my favorite song of last season, but girl, unlike them, I cannot look the other way. And again, the angels providing gift baskets, while acknowledged as too little too late by Vox and the Sinners, still reads as the show leaning far too much on comedy when it's dealing with these serious topics.
You are apologizing for genocide with gift baskets?
They have assorted taffies in them.
Like, there is an issue here of heaven refusing to recognize the gravity of their crimes. But it gets lost in all these jokes and then excused away with Sarah's individual confessions. And you know, this is bringing up a lot of world-building questions that I hadn't previously considered. Like, why is Charlie so goddamn naive of sinners' natures when she is their princess, who has only ever known this place?
How do you normally explain your hotel?
By singing. But that never works.
Do some sinners even mind being in hell as opposed to heaven, given it seems the only drawbacks seem to be either selling your soul to an overlord or just random wanton violence, you know, outside the exterminations, of course. What if some sinners actively prefer hell because they can be themselves here, because heaven's rules turn out to be a lot of puritanical conformist bullshit? Look, girl, if you're gonna use Abrahamic religions as the base of your story, you do kind of need to address what parts of it apply to your story, given the rise of evangelical ways of thinking over the past few decades, especially in the US. Like, girl, this shit is hard to escape. At times, it feels like the show dabbles in critiquing those ways of thinking, but only tangentially or accidentally. And as for Lute, yeah, I get she's supposed to be more relevant in later seasons, but I don't get why they went so hard on setting up her seeking revenge on Charlie and Vaggi over Adam this season if nothing was gonna come of it. Like, I love Gravity, it's one of my favorite songs, but methinks it might have been a season too early. It reads like all of this, Lute's animosity and bloodthirst, was less about her being an antagonist and more so we could have the payoff of Abel growing a backbone and standing up to Lute in the finale. Which, okay, that moment 8, I might have gotten goosebumps seeing Adam and being like, oh my god, Abel, you're literally what your dad should have been.
Bitch, you better fall back.
It made me actually give a fuck about Abel, and also made me realize he was voiced by Patrick Stump. Please don't shoot me for not realizing that until he sang. But Abel is also a tertiary character at best. Did we need all this with one of the major antagonists last season just for this moment? Like, if you removed Loot and Abel's intrusion in Hear My Hope, what changes? Virtually nothing. Which sucks, because I love that part sonically. In fact, Hear My Hope is the you didn't know of this season, and I will die on that hill.
Alright, I guess this is the night bitches die.
I will say it is far weirder when the angels come down to hell and Charlie's talking to Sarah, Emily, and Abel about stopping Vox. And Loot is just sitting up high, perched like a very bitter gargoyle.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
And not really saying or doing anything. Charlie isn't even saying anything about her, glancing her way, or acknowledging her existence. You know, the woman who tried to help Adam kill us all and who specifically tried to kill your girlfriend. Like, why did y'all even bring her here? Loot is literally a diplomatic incident waiting to happen. My friend pitched this idea as I wrote the script, but maybe Loot should have been comatose this season after the big final battle last season, and then reawakened when it was time for her to come back into play, and that's when we get Gravity. Who would talk to Lilith then? I don't know. Maybe Sarah? My point is that Loot feels like an afterthought this season. Maybe this issue will prove less annoying if the show gives Loot more to work with. For the time being, she really feels like a narrative dead end. Maybe part of it is that I was expecting the people of Hell to directly invade the streets of heaven, in which case we'd be fighting Loot on her home turf. But I suppose I'm gonna have to mourn that idea. Now, what I will thank this season for is making me give a fuck about the Vees. Because last season, I was so confused as to why we were giving them so much screen time if they weren't our big bads.
Flashback.
The future of Hell belongs to the Vees. Who?
But here, they serve as the antagonists who want to hijack the hotel, standing against Heaven for their own gain. Again, really compelling conflict. Season 2 establishes this right out of the gate with its first song, where it contrasts the treatment of the hotel's guests against the Vees clients. The Vees are essentially portrayed as your run-of-the-mill exploitative talent agency, promising fame and riches at the cost of, you know, your soul, and then discarding you when they can't get anything else out of you. Granted, it's not clear if the sinner in the musical number that the Vees put through the ringer actually sold her soul to them, or she just worked with them and then was promptly fired and let free, which I feel kind of undermines the whole Overlords own millions of souls here in Hell thing. But what do I know?
What do I know?
But I do appreciate the added emphasis on the Vees dynamic and how they rely on each other's specific skill sets and powers to fortify their own collective power. Vox is the face, the ideas guy, the guiding vision. He's basically the Carmilla of this vampire quartet, or trio.
There is literally no one between here and Brayla who I don't want to murder.
Velvet's in charge of all the social media.
Got a live up that's trending, a fail compilation on VoxTube, and a commercial ready to go. Want to run it now?
Run it.
She's the one who helps Vox spin the narrative with her reach, and she is my personal favorite. Dear God, she's style queen, and I love it when she's rude, which is all the time.
Wrist ruffles? Is it 1750? Burn it like the witches who wore it.
And Valentino, well, I know his films probably bring in the big bucks, but real talk, he's absolutely the idiot of the three who never even once gets the brain cell.
I know you won't believe this, but I don't understand.
I'm pretty sure Velvet is the single solitary brain cell of this unholy throuple.
Damn, Poppy.
Firstly, Vox. I like Vox. He's a fun antagonist who actually scared me a few times this season. He's got a massive, fragile ego, needing to be constantly adored and fawned over, which explains his obsession with Alistair. Alistair was someone he looked up to and perhaps fancied.
We've been close for a few years now, right? I mean, people know us, they love us.
And so that rejection, coupled with Alistair exploiting Vox's insecurities over his reliance on the other Vees, drives him utterly mad.
Flocked by your partners with their far more impressive contribution to your flashy little clown show. What really are you contributing besides noise?
I am admittedly a sucker for how it winds up being his undoing.
I'm a fucking god!
And also in terms of design, I still love the TV head, still love all the little wire and electrical motifs around him, and I love his signature color being blue. Given Hell's palette primarily uses red, it helps Vox to stand out easily. It honestly feels like his blues are intruding upon the reds of our main characters, disrupting them to try and get our attention, which feels like a visual representation of his character. All of that said, I am still not clear on his backstory. By which I mean, why was it called a cult if he was basically just a talk show host and or news anchor?
Back on Earth, when I was alive, I was the leader of a very influential group.
You mean the cult?
You could call it a cult, but I'd say it was more of a movement.
Like, you built a cult of personality on cable? I mean, I get the TV connection, but, you know, I always figured he was a televangelist with a literal cult.
Right. You get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Right.
Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I did.
You know, that would explain his level of media savvy, the way he carries himself, and provide the TV angle. But nah, just a weatherman. Okay, sure. Was he a weatherman, or was it like a different kinds of like news anchoring position? Girl, whatever. And how did no one notice all the people getting brutally murdered and or going missing in his station? Like, what the fuck? Well, at least he died by electrocution by a TV falling on his head. That's fucking hilarious. Loser. Oh, and real quick, I do love Alistair exploiting Vox's ego to escape his deal. Specifically, all of the wordplay about being the strongest demon in hell or laying a hand on Charlie.
I didn't hurt her.
I didn't say not to hurt her, you moron. I said you're not to lay your hands on her.
That technicality feels like bullshit, but in a way that is true to Alistair's character, and in a way that's actually clever as hell. It's also giving the kind of permission magic Nerissa would use in Witch to outsmart characters, which I can never get enough of. You know me.
We set you free with a full pardon on 2 conditions. 1, you help us take the seal from Nerissa. And 2, you swear to return its power to Elion and Kadma, not use it for yourself.
I swear on the power of Kandrakar not to use Nerissa's seal for myself. Satisfied?
It is essential to the Guardian's strategy that Phobos attack Kandrakar. You made Phobos swear on Kandrakar's power. Should he attack this world, even set foot here with hostile intent, he will mystically forfeit all the fruits of his broken vow.
He'll lose all his power, and Elion, Kadma, and the others will be free, their hearts returned.
Sadly, not much to say about Velvet. I mostly love her for her design, voice, and personality. Her being a literal doll and using that to explain why she has 1,000 different outfits, iconic, and not one fit misses. I just appreciate her being a competent villainess who is unapologetically cruel. Oh, and I love her fights. Mostly the one against Alistair and Husk, where she's turning her live chat into a bow and arrow.
I'm putting up a poll. Vote yes or no if you want me to absolutely obliterate this guy.
And just straight up summoning emoji glyphs. Like, okay, pop off, Witch Queen.
This outfit is worth 10 of you. Put a shirt on, you mangy stray.
Weiss could never. Valentino? I want him dead. I want him dead, and I want his wings hung above the mantle of my imaginary fireplace in my head, because I can't afford my own home, because no one in this economy can. Anyway, at first I wasn't sure how to feel about his writing this season, and not just his stupidity being used for jokes, but also his dynamic with Vox, since I immediately thought about all the people who'd use this to downplay his abuse of Angel to wooify him.
And if he glows any brighter, will he see me anymore?
Never mind me. How are you holding up, you poor discarded cumrag?
You know, think the Stola stuff, except 10 times more egregious. But the more I thought about it, that's not exactly the show's fault. If anything, I want all the characters to be shown with more depth, nuance, and humanity, because the truth is that the people who commit these heinous acts themselves are human. Or, in this case, giant, tall demon moths. Is he a moth? Whatever. No, Vaggi's a moth. Whatever. You know, that doesn't excuse or justify them or take away from the humanity of their victims, but I think it paints a fuller picture. That said, while I do get why he and Velvet helped to stop the bomb and Hear My Hope, I kinda still hate their inclusion, especially Valentino. Because fundamentally, this moment to me reads as an attempt for the community of Hell to come together and decide on a better future for itself. And it's hard to really feel that when you've got 2 of the trio who've been trying to undermine that all season, especially Valentino. You know, when I hear the song and I see everyone coming together like that, I feel it in my gut. It like actually moves me to tears. And then all the overlords are like, we're never talking about this shit again, and immediately takes the wind right out of the sails.
Hear my hope. We're
never fucking talking about this shit ever again, right?
Girl, shut the fuck up. You thought you ate that?
Again, it's that whole, like, we don't really care about the actual feelings of the populace of hell. They're just kind of used for jokes like that, and then we move on. Okay. Not much to say about Charlie, sadly, given I've already addressed the whole Delulu angle. However, I do appreciate that Charlie's story this season leans into that a bit more, with her playing into Vox's hands as he slanders her in the hotel.
Are the exterminations still on? Or did they even show you that Penchus was actually there?
I'm about to beat this bitch up.
A lot of Charlie's actions read this season as deeply stupid and reeking of desperation, especially when she disregards Angel's concerns when she invites the Vees directly into the hotel.
But I'm telling you right now, they are bad fucking news. Horrible fucking news!
Okay, I've talked to Vox, and he assured me that he's just here to film the hotel and put out a special tonight about what he sees here.
Fucking idiot.
But the show does fall on Angel's side in the aftermath. It's not something Charlie just gets away with.
Why don't you go ask Vox the next time you need to pry out more shit about my life?
Angel, I didn't realize. I didn't...
Just give him some space.
Though I gotta say, girly, using an actual angel weapon on the death train, you crazy. With Charlie admitting that her desire to see the hotel succeed is partly fueled by her mother leaving, it explains why she becomes so fixated when the very idea of the hotel itself is threatened.
The hotel was my way of finishing what she started, and I think I've been trying so hard to hold on to it because if I could make it work, maybe she'd be proud of me. And maybe she'd come back and tell me what I did to make her leave.
Because the hotel is the representation of how Charlie interpreted her mother's dreams, and seeing Vox not only undermine them but twist them for his own benefit would undoubtedly be enough to break Charlie's mettle. It's digging into a very deep open wound. And while I have my qualms with Charlie's naivete about her own realm, her story of struggling with how to deal with public perception definitely resonates with me. I was initially confused how Lucifer went so long not knowing about Vox tormenting Charlie.
Well, he's been hardcore shitting on Charlie in the hotel for weeks. It's kind of driving her crazy. And
Wait a second, he's been what?
Like, I get he's dissociating in his little duck tower, and I love that about him, but nobody thought to inform him? But then I figured Charlie probably forgot he existed in the depths of her mania, so, you know. And while I wish Vaggi got more than trying to emotionally support Charlie and picking a new name, I do also live for her calling out Charlie. That felt cathartic as hell.
You aren't listening to me. You're hyper-fixating on what he's saying about you.
Because he's hurting the hotel. He is ruining...
Charlie, you are hurting the hotel. I know it sucks what Vox is doing, but you're playing his game.
And I really like that Vaggi, without the E, gets to become the hotel manager, with Charlie stepping back to become head counselor. Those roles feel far better suited to each of them. Angel Dust is the heart of the show, by which I mean, in the case of this show's redemption premise, Angel is the cornerstone. When Pench's backstory was revealed, while I did find his nerdy human form adorable, I wasn't quite sure how to feel about it. His backstory, that is.
I could have done something, brought the man to justice, but I didn't.
Because Penchus himself didn't really do anything actively harmful. Rather, his inaction is what landed him in hell. Which, okay, but surely you can't use that as a benchmark for most sinners seeking redemption. With Angel, I wasn't quite sure what even got him into hell. I recall a lot of comments on my last video explaining it was because of his family having mob ties, to which I say, why the hell wasn't that in the show? Like, I've done this dance with Ruby, y'all. You cannot count on all of your audience being familiar with the intimate details of your show's lore just because the creator tweeted about it once. Nor should someone have to go that far to understand something in your story. To enrich it, sure, but not to follow and enjoy it on the base level. Now, I am happy that we got the revelation this season of why Angel's in hell. Him murdering his father.
What exercise could one do to be forgiven for being a...
Stop!
Murderer?
You shut the fuck up! Don't you dare call me that!
Killed your dad, right? At least that's what Val told me. What did he do? Hit you?
We'll likely get the full story next season, but I do think a more morally gray situation suits the show's premise far better. Not perfectly, but better. I'm assuming Angel did it in self-defense, in which case, is he in hell because Angel himself believes he belongs there? or because the system itself does not take intention into account when it passes judgment. I say it doesn't fit perfectly because in the case of people who've wound up in hell for things that aren't justifiable by self-defense or something similar, the exploration of how somebody redeems themselves from that kind of action feels like a stronger baseline for redemption, like the ultimate test of redemption. Either way, I do anticipate an Angel redemption to be the most important one of the series, since, you know, he's the hotel's first guest, and he also feels like a stand-in for those who've been discarded by society because of who they are, and how that itself can cause someone to view themselves as deserving of suffering.
I've accepted that redemption's not really for people like me.
A lot of that's gonna lie in the details of his life on Earth and why he did what he did, but for now, I am interested to see where his story goes. Part of me wonders if he's actually gonna decide he doesn't need redemption. Again, that question of whether someone needs to be redeemed in the eyes of an unjust, broken system with fucked up values. That all said, I don't really enjoy all the pain that the show puts him through. Like, yes, it is brutally honest in the kinds of exploitation that queer people find themselves in, and I do appreciate that Angel gets to talk about those things without being portrayed as deserving any of it, but I also feel like the show overindulges in showing us the brutality inflicted upon him. Like last season when we saw Val assaulting him in his dressing room, or this season where Vox attacks and brutalizes Angel before hypnotizing him. Usually in media, a more tasteful way to go about this is to leave most of the violence to the imagination. You know, like if Val dragged Angel into the dressing room and we, the audience, stayed outside with Charlie, only hearing some of what goes on inside before they come back out. Something that is still honest and blunt about what's happening to Angel without potentially glorifying the violence done to him, or that risks re-traumatizing real viewers who've experienced these kinds of situations. At the very least, I still appreciate that Angel is always humanized and sympathetic. Just like last season, Hazbin's soundtrack has taken over my goddamn life. Animated Broadway-style musical numbers that Disney has not had since the fucking Renaissance. Ones that both explore the characters' interior worlds and relationships and advance the story. Yes, yes please, give me more. Let's just do a rapid fire of my favorite numbers this season. If your favorite's not on this list, take it up with corporate, okay? I don't give a fuck. Firstly, Hazbin Guarantee. A great season opener, catching you up on the premise of the hotel, while also contrasting it with the Vees and establishing them as this season's primary antagonists. Again, I love showing how exploitative the Vees are through the eyes of one particular sinner. And I'm not sure why, but I love that back and forth at the end between Charlie and the Vees, especially when Charlie belts out her last word. Sarah's confession also has to make the list, or I will be assassinated. While I've mentioned my critiques of how Heaven gets off the hook too easily, I do still love the devastation that Sarah is left in now that she has to confront the reality of her choices. She keeps begging, asking for how to atone, but she is left to figure that out on her own.
How can I be sure I don't repeat more massacre based on mistaken conceit?
And Liz Calloway and Patina Miller's voices, unironically angelic. Gravity also has to make the list, and I think is probably my second favorite of the season. You know, what can I say? I'm a sucker for a good fucking electric guitar and an angry lady belting about bad choices. It feels so cathartic to listen to in the chorus, and it manages to make me genuinely scared of what Lute's about to do, even if she's going to do absolutely nothing after this number. Also, love, love, love that Hard Rain kind of sounds like heartbreak because of the percussion.
Hard rain is gonna fall down like gravity.
Only in a show like Hazbin could there be a song called Piss, and it turns out to be both a love song and a damn good one. I love Serpentious, but I admittedly haven't cared much about Cherry or the flashes of romance between them. Like, sure, it's cute, but it's not something I'm over the moon about. But good lord, Alex Brightman's ability to pull off a consistent character voice while also sounding amazing when he sings, and being able to do that with several character voices that are all distinct between different characters should count as witchcraft.
Cause every brush with death meant much more than a kiss.
And Cherry's actress, Christina Alabado, sounds phenomenal.
You blew a hole right through my soul while I was beating the piss out of you.
Now, y'all might kill me, but I do love Vox Populi until Vox starts singing. Look, I love Jeremy Jordan's voice. I love Lucifer, and I'm obsessed with these guitar riffs behind his voice, especially with the added production on his voice in the album version.
I'm the serpent, I'm the flame. The mortal world is scared to say my name.
When Vox starts singing, I'm just like, okay, skip, wrap it up, it's over, it's done. Like, I get why it's there story-wise, but sonically, damn, it brings the song to a stop for me. Losing Streak is gorgeous with Blake Roman's voice, and I think a big part of that is that Angel gets to be alluring and seductive while maintaining control.
Losing streak.
It's him choosing to draw all the men's eyes and make Husk question his sexuality, which adds to the fun of the song. Oh my god, I just realized it's a Yuri on Ice moment where Yuri realizes he has to be the woman that seduces the playboy. Oh my god.
You have to be the beautiful woman who seduces the playboy.
When I think about the future is an iconic medley, weaving together the perspectives of the major players going into the finale. Naturally, I'm also obsessed with the Gravity reprise.
Storm's coming, I'm so fucking scared. What's gonna happen when we go down there?
Though I also love Sarah's bit at the end. And my absolute favorite this season, Hear My Hope. Yeah, this one confirms my love of ensemble numbers, it just does. I've mentioned my issues with how the Denizens of Hell are written, the loop problem, the Valentino problem, and yet despite all of it, this song still always manages to get me teary-eyed towards the end, and cheering everybody on.
A crescendo till the end, no matter what it takes.
And you know, maybe part of that is what I'm bringing to this song, because when I hear this, I think about how I felt the night that Zohran Mamdani won his election. Like, it was this musical representation of people banding together to choose a better future for us all, and look, in the bleak hellscape that is the 2020s, that means a lot to me. I need this injected into my fucking veins. Also, that shot of everybody where the camera whisks past them, I'm a sucker for that in 2D animation, because that shit ain't easy, and it looks so good!
Crescendo till the end, no matter what it takes.
Oh, and random tidbit, can we talk about how much mileage It Starts With Sorry gets this season?
A wise woman once told me that it starts with sorry.
Starts with sorry. I learned from Charlie.
Like, it always catches me off guard, but in a good way, because it always manages to feel relevant to the topic and melody at hand, and be so fucking seamless. Storytelling through the music. What a concept. It's almost like that's what a musical is. So, is season 2 of Hazbin Hotel an improvement over the first? I would say yes, but a lot of the major flaws are still there. And if anything, I think this season has confirmed to me that while I love the dynamics between individual characters and adore the storytelling through bomb-ass musical numbers, and this art style is for me, a lot of my issues lie within the world building and structure themselves. And in that case, that is kind of something that's just baked into the pie, and it's too late to really do anything about them. That's an oof. They don't ruin my enjoyment of the show at all. I still love this mess, clearly, and it's something that I do ironically enjoy contemplating far too much. Despite its flaws, Hazbin still knows what it is and is unabashedly proud of that. And I think that alone is worthy of respect, even if it's not your cup of tea. That said, if someone can't stand this fucking show, I also get it, and I'm not gonna begrudge them for it. Yell away, my friends, make your AdSense. Lord knows we're gonna need it in this fucking economy, good god. Anyhow, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this from me, then be sure to subscribe and ring that bell for notifications, because YouTube hates creators. And if you're willing and able, consider pledging your support for myself and the channel over on Patreon. I'm the Unicorn of War, and damn, Vox's life is a fucking shit show, ain't it?